You ever get that nagging feeling deep into a project? You know the one, where you stop and think, is this actually working? How do you really know if you're on the right track? Well, let's dive into that, because figuring out how to measure your success is everything. It's the difference between guessing and actually managing. And this quote right here, it's the core idea we're unpacking. It's so simple, but so powerful. If you can't put a number or a story or some kind of metric to what you're doing, you're basically flying blind. It's really the foundation of any good management.
That's the real question, isn't it? We throw around words like metrics and KPIs all the time, but what are we actually trying to understand? Is it just about the bottom line, the sales figures? Or is there maybe a little more to it?
This is where so many leaders end up, stuck in what you could call a management blind spot. It's that really uncomfortable place where you're making huge, company-steering decisions, but you don't have a clear map. You're just kind of relying on gut feelings, maybe some incomplete info, and that is a seriously risky way to run a business.
The good news is there is a way out of that blind spot. We've got a formal solution, a whole set of tools designed specifically to give you that map and compass you need. So let's go ahead and open up this strategic toolkit.
Okay, so the official name for this toolkit is Transformation Analytical Tools. I know it sounds a little corporate, but think of it simply as the complete collection of methods you can use to get a clear, objective look at your strategies and just the overall health of your organization. This is how we move from guessing to knowing.
Now, this toolkit isn't just one big hammer. It actually breaks down into two very different but equally important categories. You've got the numbers on one side and the stories, the narratives that explain them on the other.
And this lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have your quantitative tools. These are all about the hard numbers, the what and the how many. Then you have the qualitative tools. These are the ones that get into the why and the how. They give you the human context behind all that data. And spoiler alert, you absolutely need both. To make this even clearer, let's use an analogy. Evaluating your business strategy, it's a lot like a doctor checking up on your health. Think of it as a complete physical for your entire organization. So, the quantitative tools, those are the vital signs. They're the objective, non-negotiable numbers. A doctor checks your blood pressure, your temperature, your heart rate. In business, these are things like your sales figures, your market share, your website traffic. They tell you what is happening in your business right now. Cold, hard facts. But you know, a good doctor doesn't just look at the chart, right? They talk to you. They ask, so how are you feeling? What are your symptoms? That's the qualitative side. In your business, these are your customer interviews, your employee feedback surveys, your focus groups. They give you the crucial context, the why behind all those numbers.
And that's the whole point, really. You can't just rely on one or the other. If you truly want to understand the health of your strategy, you have to combine the vital signs with the actual conversation. You need that full 360-degree view. Because just think about it for a second. Relying on just one is like trying to solve a mystery with only half the clues. So, let's say your quantitative data, your numbers, show a 15% drop in online sales right after you launched a new website. That's the vital sign. It tells you what happened, but it doesn't tell you why. Is the new design just ugly? Is a button broken? The numbers alone are just a symptom. You're still totally in the dark. So this all builds into a really simple but incredibly powerful three-step process. Let's finish our little website mystery. Step 1, you've got the quantitative data. Sales are down 15%. Step 2, you go get the qualitative context. You watch user session recordings and you see dozens of people just furiously clicking on a next button that isn't working. You read feedback emails saying the new checkout is super confusing. Now you have the why. And step 3 is the synthesis. You put those clues together. The problem isn't your product or your marketing, it's a broken button on the website. See, you've just turned a vague, scary problem into a specific, actionable solution. That's the power of putting these two tool sets together. All right, so as we start to wrap this up, I really want to turn this back to you. We've talked about the tools, we've talked about the process. Now it's time to think about how you can actually apply this stuff. What does this mean for your project or your team or your entire company? So I'll leave you with this final question to chew on. What is that one crucial aspect of your work that's sitting in a management blind spot right now? What's one thing you aren't measuring, either with numbers or with stories, that could give you the clarity you really need to succeed? Finding that answer? Well, that's your first step.